Back with us on the Sportsmax Zone, we continue with cricket. A small number of fans will be allowed to watch the second test between India and England, set to start on Friday at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai, and the 10,000 allotted tickets were sold out within an hour. This will mark the first time in over a year the public will be able to attend an international cricket match in India. These are some of the safety measures that will be in place for the match. Ball sanitization after every 6 hits, 50% crowd capacity, fans in alternate chairs, temperature checks at every entrance, hand sanitization everywhere, face masks mandatory, medical kiosks, ambulances, doctor in the medical room, and a room to isolate people who are showing signs of not being well. Now, India, which has recorded 10.9 million COVID-19 infections and 155,000 deaths in the second most populous country in the world, has found a way to bring fans back to cricket matches. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, we are still struggling to restart many sports. Wayne Lewis is a sports administrator by day, and I asked him to talk about the struggle of Caribbean governments, especially the one here where you are, to restart sports in this time when the rest of the world has moved on.
You keep putting me on the spot, George.
Well, for sure.
Well, I understand the various governments and their attitude and approach to this. I'm sure they'd want sports to start flourishing and guys doing well. Politicians like that because they keep the people happy and they'll support them, especially if they're part of the sponsorship deals that they're involved in that. However, after talking to someone, a senior person in Jamaica Labour Party government, their position is that they are very scared because of lack of resources. So if they should open up this and the pandemic should get out of hand and you have a lot of positives and people are ill and limited spaces in the hospitals, they are not in a position to respond positively. Yeah. So because of that, they're very cautious as to whether they should open it up and allow sports to continue because of the consequences should something goes wrong.
Wayne, and George was, he explained that you're involved in sports administration. Talk to us about the financial impact of actually putting things into place. You are part of the meetings where West Indies, they were concerned about doing their biosecure bubble. How expensive is it to actually ensure that everything is in place?
Extremely expensive, Mary. I'm telling you that. I mean, even, for example, Cricket West Indies had to pay in excess of $150,000 just for COVID tests, because the guys have to be tested so often. $150,000 they have to pay for COVID tests alone. It's very expensive. There are no gate receipt, so therefore the television rights pivotal, it's crucial. And that's why West Indies even went to England, because England were desperate to get some money from their television deals because nothing was happening. And therefore it's so important for West Indies to have, or any team for that matter, to have proper sponsorship deals to include television rights, because outside of that, it's almost impossible. So what happened in IPL, Indian Premier League, the reason why they were survived that is because their television rights deal is so huge. That takes care of all the incidentals. So it's quite costly. And sometimes, for example, the Australian Open going on now in tennis, and also the US Open, also at the French Open, they had to reduce the prize monies because they weren't making any money through the turnstiles. So it's very expensive.
Well, ahead of Friday's second test, England have confirmed that Jofra Archer will miss the match due to an injured right elbow. Archer is, though, expected to be available for the third test in Ahmedabad, a day-night affair. Meanwhile, Ben Foakes is set to take over wicket-keeping duties from the rested Jos Buttler, who is back in the UK. Foakes says he feels the wicket will keep low and might start turning earlier than happened in the first test.
Yeah, it's different to the last one. It's a different soil. It's a darker soil, so I think it might be quite low and slow. But I haven't got a lot of experience with wickets out here, so that would be my guess, but I'm not 100% sure. It's one of those where obviously I haven't played for a while. I'm just trying to do everything I can to put myself in a good position to do well. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to contribute. Of course, you want to play, and it has been frustrating, but Josh has done such an amazing job over those 2 years. So it's one of those situations where it's very understandable. And yes, it's just all been trying to prepare for if and when there was an opportunity, which is obviously arisen.
talk about resources again, Wayne, because there's an issue of a serious resource difference between the West Indies and England. Jos Buttler is back in the UK because of England's rest and rotation policy for players involved in many formats in cricket. So T20, ODI, Test cricket, they're saying those who play all three formats, you can't burn them out. So you'll get one test, you'll get another test, someone else comes in, someone else comes in. Think about the West Indies, who, you just have to play with what you have, and it shows you the difference in resources. But what do you make amid all that of this policy? Jos Buttler did nothing wrong with the gloves in the first test, although some say he's a blocker more than a proper wicketkeeper, but he didn't do much wrong. He finds himself going home now. He's fit, able. I'm sure he would have loved to continue, but they say you have to go home, so Ben Foakes comes in. Does it make sense?
Absolutely, it doesn't make any sense. And these players are very frustrated about it. They're trying to build their resume. They want to play for long. They're trying to earn money. They're trying to get themselves established and cemented their position in the team. And the management of the team decides that they're going in a different direction. And that tells you, with all the Test championships around the corner as well, where West Indies England is trying to get into the top two to be involved in that at Lords. It's important for them to win these test matches. So for them to make a decision before the series starts that they're going to rotate players, to me is very surprising, because it's important for them to win the series. And they are one up in the series, and you're sending home guys. You talk to the guys on a one-to-one, they are not pleased about it, but I guess they have no choice. And they'll speak publicly as if to say they're okay with it, but they are not.
And let's just say, England is doing well now. They're one up, as you rightfully said, and England goes on to lose because of an error that one of the players who are rested, so they don't play anymore. And of course, we see that gap happening, and that's the reason they lose. Do you think that would cause them to shift this rotation policy, or they're set in stone?
I don't know whether it's set in stone if they start losing games, because the wicketkeeper is talking about the fact that he hasn't played for a while, and he's going to play the second test in India, of all the places, when everybody wants to go to India, England, and Australia and do well. Those are the three big countries where the challenge is most difficult than anywhere else. And therefore, for them to be sending home Jos Buttler and bringing in a guy who's going to be playing for the first time in quite some time in such a crucial test match, I think they're playing with fire there. But they must know the reasons why they're doing this, because I don't, all of a sudden, it's almost like they are showing a lot more interest in the development or in the protection of the player rather than the series itself.
I sit and I hear you, Mr. Administrator, say that this is a bit of nonsense, and there is a lot of truth to what you say. But I'm sure you would love the West Indies to be in a position where guys can be spared from burnout, not logging off to this far-flung place to play T20, come back and have regional Super 50 commitments or regional 40 commitments, then have West Indies duties. You'd love to be in a situation where your unionized players at the West Indies Players Association were given breaks and had this facilitation. And here you are, despite wishing you had that, cursing out a nation for using the vast resources at their disposal to do exactly what you would want for the West Indies.
George,
if that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what is.
George, listen, I'd like to understand behind the scene what type of agreement the Players Association would have with the ECB.
They still get their money though, Wayne.
Right, that's the question. I'm going to that. No, you're going to say no, Jos Buttler, you're going to pay him, right?
Of course you get their money. You know how contracts are.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right. It has to be a situation.
So there's no exemption because you, the team, decide not to pick me. Right. I still have to get my money.
Right, you still have to pay. That have to be, because in West Indies, for example, all the guys are paid fully. Whether you play or not, you're paid the full match fee for each test match once a year in the squad.
But as we end, Wayne, I want you to talk some truth to the huge number.
I want to talk truth.
Hold on,
George.
Yeah.
You wish the Windies were in a situation to do what England is doing. Correct.
All of us, George,
Yeah,
we'd be a lot happier.
If we
Because
had such
we wouldn't be
Why can't you just say yes?
We would not be glorifying.
Why won't you just say yes?
Because I need to say it this way. We would not be
It sounds
glorifying.
better.
We would not be glorifying and bigging up the team for beating Bangladesh if we have that level of,
we had that player pool to be able to do what England are doing.
In the team.
Hear you on that. So he says
we're
yes.
far away from that.
He says yes. I don't think we'll ever get there.
Just pay them.
What about England versus India? Second test, new wicket keeper for the England team. Can India, though, level the series, or will England rather, go 2 up? 11 p.m. Friday, midnight if you're outside Jamaica. Don't miss a ball.
Lose the toss, you lose the match.